Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what are the types of global variables in Java? Let me answer. First of all, in Java, the variables can be classified or categorized at a high level into two types. One is local variables, other one is global variables. Local variables are the variables which are created inside the methods and whose scope or life will be up to that particular method in which they are created. Okay. But coming to the global variables, these global variables are the variables which are directly created under the class and outside the methods. So the scope of these global variables is throughout the entire class. The where till where you can access these global variables till the class. Okay, within the class you can access these global variables anywhere. And coming to the local variables, only inside the methods in which they are created. Till that method only you can access the local variables because they are created inside the methods and global variables are created outside the method directly under the class. Okay, there's a high level categorization of variable types in Java. But the question here is, what are the types of global variables? The variables which are directly created under the class and outside the methods, which can be accessed throughout the class because they are global variables. That's why they are called as global variables, right? In that, how many types are there? That's the question. The answer is there are two types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance variables, other one is static variables. Instance means object related variables. Okay, the value of this value that will be assigned to this variable will vary from object to object. For a particular class, you can create any number of objects. For every object, if the value keeps changing for this kind of variable, that variables we make them as instance variable. For example, if you are creating objects for a car class, okay, and you have created objects for different types of cars, like first variety of car, like some brand, let's say Amaze, Honda Amaze car, okay. So that is one object you created, and then Audi, some X5, or like Mercedes, some XYZ version, like that. For every type of car, you create an object for the car class. Now, as you can know, the price of this different cars for which you created the objects, right, will change, right? So price will change, mileage will change, color will change, model will change, company will change. All these kind of things will be created as instance variables inside the class. Okay. So at a global level, those kind of variables will be created as instance variables in Java because the value of these variables keep changing from object to object, depending on the different car objects you created, right? But coming to the static variables, okay, when do you create a global variable as a static variable? When you think that for all the objects, for this particular variable, a common value is there. Such kind of variables, you create them as static variables, okay? You just specify one keyword or modifier name known as static before this normal variables under the class, and that normal instance variable will get converted to a static variable, and it will store a common value for all the objects. Same value is there. For example, number of wheels. No matter which car you take here, right? It will contain four wheels. So such kind of common value like wheel, number of wheels, have to be stored into a variable which is specified with static. And static belongs to class. Instance means related to object, whereas static belongs to class memory, whereas instance belong to the object memory. Object to object, the values will change. That's why instance memory. Static, only one class will be there. Class will store the common values of for all the objects. If the same value is there, why to waste the memory in the memory of all the different objects? Just store in the class memory. So static will do the stuff. Okay. So I don't want to dig deep into that, but just to straightforwardly answer the question for you, the global variable. What are the types of global variables we have in Java? There are two types of global variables. One is instance variables whose value keep changing from object to object, that is created for the class. And coming to static variable, whose value will be a common value which is same for all the objects of the class. Okay. Such kind of variables, we make them static global variables. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create this different type of global variables in Java. For that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE, and here I'm creating a new class. I'll just name this as class G, just random name. Click on finish. And once I go to this class, I'm going to create some variables and methods, and let's say, okay, first I'll create a method, public void, sample one. Okay, I created a method, guys. Inside this method, if I create a variable int a, okay, int a is equal to some 10. If I say this is a local variable, guys, okay, the variable is declared or created inside the method. Okay, it is a local variable. and whose scope you can access this variable within the method only. Outside the method, you cannot access. For example, within the method, if I say A, it will work. Okay, you can access. No compiler error is coming, no error is coming, so it is working. What if I create one more method here? Public void sample2, and in that method, if I try to access this variable A, which is a local variable to this method, is it possible to access this variable A in this another method? The answer is no, guys. Why? Because the scope of this local variable, which is created inside this particular method, is up to this method only. It cannot be accessed outside the method. So if I say system.out.println A, you are going to get a compiler error saying A is not visible. Okay, A cannot be resolved to a variable. A is not visible. It's simple words. Okay, why? Because it's a local variable local to this method only. You cannot access this outside the method. What if I create a variable directly under the class and outside any of these methods? Okay, outside any of these methods, if I create, for example, int b is equal to 20 like this. Okay, now this becomes a global variable. This is a global variable. The global variable. And this kind of global variable, which is directly created under the class and outside the methods, can be accessed throughout the class. Okay, the scope of this variable is you can access this variable throughout the class case. Okay, so how means, you see, within this first method, I'll try to access the variable b without any error. Things are going well. And here also in another method, if I try to access b, you see, I'm able to access this variable throughout the class case. Okay, this proves, right? But here, the question here is, what are the types of global variables? I understand that this is a global variable, but what are the types of global variables we have? There are two types of global variables. So for this particular variable, static modifier or keyword is not specified before this variable. This will become an instance global variable. Okay, instance global variable. What if I just create something like this? Int c is equal to 30. Okay, this becomes a, once I provide static modifier before a variable, that is a global variable, this becomes a static global variable. Okay, there are two types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance global variable, and another one is static global variable, which is specified with static modifier. If it is not specified with the global variable, not specified with static modifier, that's the instance global variable. Okay, so fine. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So what are the types of global variables we have in Java? There are two types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance variables, other one is static variables. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.